They called him guilty, she called him innocent, and what happened next was something no one in that courtroom was prepared to see, not the judge, not the lawyers, not the reporters who came hungry for a downfall. This was the kind of moment that turns a normal trial into a story people talk about for years. "Mr. Green, your client needs you to respond." The judge said, "Silence." Judge Rayner sat stiff behind the bench, his right eyebrow twitching just enough to show his patience was wearing thin. The courtroom was packed wall to wall. Reporters filled every row, whispering and waiting, cameras ready. Everyone had come to see whether the young millionaire would finally crack or somehow talk his way out of the mess that had destroyed his reputation. Defense attorney Monroe Green slowly shook his head. He closed his briefcase with a soft click and stood up. His voice was calm, but cold. "I am withdrawing from this case, Your Honor," effective immediately. A wave of shocked gasps rolled through the room. People leaned forward, some stood up to whisper, others rushed to tweet before anyone else could, but one person stayed perfectly still. An 8-year-old girl sat in the third row behind the defense table. Her name was Amara Johnson. Colorful beads hung in her braids. Her dress was borrowed and a little too big. No one had noticed her when she walked in. No one had cared who she was. Not yet. Ethan Brixley sat frozen at the defense table. His lawyer's chair was empty. His mouth felt dry. He was only 26 years old, a tech founder from Santa Clarita. During the pandemic, his app helped people find safe jobs and training. Just last year, Forbes had called him the people's billionaire. Now he sat in handcuffs, accused of a crime so brutal that strangers wanted to see him destroyed. He knew he didn't do it. God knew he didn't do it, but that didn't seem to matter anymore. The judge banged his gavel once. "This is highly unusual, Mr. Green. I understand, Your Honor," Green replied, "but I cannot stand behind a client who refuses to be honest with me." That hit Ethan harder than the cuffs around his wrists. It didn't matter that he had told the truth. Everyone had already decided he was lying. Then a small voice cut through the noise. "I can defend him." The courtroom went silent. Judge Rayner leaned forward. "Excuse me," Amara stood up. Her knees shook, but she stayed standing. "I said I can defend him." A few people laughed. One man let out a short chuckle before stopping himself. Someone near the front raised a phone and started recording. The bailiff stepped closer, unsure if this was a joke. "Little girl," the judge said carefully, "what is your name?" "Amara Johnson." "And how old are you, Miss Johnson?" 8. The judge blinked. "I know I'm not a real lawyer," she added quickly. "But I read about this case, and I know he didn't do it. I know." Everyone expected her to be removed, but Judge Rayner didn't do that. He studied her face, torn between concern and curiosity. "And how would you know that?" "Because he saved my brother's life 2 years ago." Ethan slowly turned his head, his eyes locked onto hers. He didn't remember saving anyone, but something about her face felt familiar. Suddenly, the room was paying attention. Reporters sat up straighter. Phones lowered. Amara gripped the bench in front of her. Her knuckles turned white. "I watched the videos. I read everything. They say he was at that warehouse, but he wasn't. He couldn't have been." The prosecutor scoffed. "Your Honor, this is a child. Let her speak," the judge said sharply. Gasps filled the room again. Amara stepped forward like she had done this before. Her voice cracked, but she didn't stop. "My brother looked up to him. He was in the mentor program Ethan paid for. We didn't have much. We didn't even have Wi-Fi. But Mr. Brixley gave kids in our building tablets and internet. My brother thought he was going to college because of him." Her voice dropped. "But my brother died last year." Silence fell heavy over the courtroom. "I want to speak for Ethan," Amara said, "because nobody else will. And if that's not allowed, then maybe this court doesn't care about the truth." Ethan stared at her, unable to breathe. Judge Rayner leaned back in his chair. The bailiff hesitated. Cameras kept rolling. In just minutes, a trial everyone thought they understood had changed completely. What no one knew yet was that this little girl and this young millionaire were connected in ways neither of them fully understood. They did not remove her from the courtroom. That alone shocked everyone. The judge allowed Amara to sit closer to the front while the bailiff whispered urgently to the clerk. Online, a shaky phone leave stream was already spreading. An 8-year-old girl had just stood up in court and offered to defend a billionaire. Ethan sat silently, wrists cuffed, staring at her. He wanted to thank her but didn't know how. Court will recess for 20 minutes, Judge Rayner finally said. And someone find this child's guardian before I break several laws. The gavel struck. People rushed out, buzzing with questions. Amara stayed seated, staring at Ethan like she was trying to see inside him. 2 hours earlier, her day had started like any other. The small apartment smelled like old fried chicken. The TV played a game show rerun her grandmother loved. Grandma Joyce slept on the couch with an oxygen tube resting under her nose. Amara moved quietly. She had school in an hour, but she already knew she wasn't going. Not today. She put on her faded denim jacket and grabbed an old backpack. Inside was not homework. It was a spiral notebook stuffed with printed articles about Ethan Brixley. She had read every word at the library, not because she had to, because she wanted to. Everyone else saw a rich man who messed up. She saw the man who changed her brother Malik's life. Malik was 17 when he joined the coding program. It gave him a laptop, it gave him hope, it gave him a future bigger than their block in East St. Louis. Then Malik was gone. A shooting outside a corner store took him away before he could finish the program. Amara never blamed Ethan for that. If anything, she believed he was the only person who ever cared about kids like Malik, and now the whole world wanted him in prison. She skipped school, walked to the courthouse, sat in the gallery for hours, and when that lawyer gave up, something inside her snapped. If nobody else would fight for him, she would. In the hallway after recess, chaos erupted. Reporters surrounded anyone who looked connected to the girl. A court officer guided Amara into a small waiting room. "Sweetheart, where is your guardian?" "My grandma, she's at home." They called, no answer, then the door opened. Ethan stepped in, still in cuffs, guarded by deputies. He looked straight at her. "Thank you," he said softly. "Why did you do that?" "Because you didn't do it. You don't even know me." "Yes, I do," she said. "You helped my brother." Ethan swallowed hard. Before he could say more, the deputies pulled him away. Amara hugged her notebook to her chest. She was ready, but what she didn't know was that standing up for Ethan had just placed her in the middle of something far bigger and far more dangerous than she could imagine. Before the handcuffs, before the courtroom, Ethan Brixley had once lived a life that felt unreal. He was not born into money, not even close. He grew up in Bakersfield, California, raised by a single mother who worked 2 jobs and still struggled to keep the lights on. When Ethan was 15, he found a broken laptop someone had thrown away. He fixed it piece by piece. That laptop changed everything. By 19, he launched his first app from a cramped dorm room. By 24, he was a millionaire. By 26, newspapers whispered the word billionaire like it was his last name. His company, Linkbridge, was more than software. It connected underprivileged kids to mentors, scholarships, and real opportunities. During the pandemic, when everything shut down, Linkbridge stayed open, kids stayed learning, families stayed afloat. Then came the fall. 3 months ago, a fire tore through an abandoned warehouse in St. Louis. Inside, police found Victor Hale, a corporate rival of Ethan's, beaten nearly to death. Ethan and Hale had fought publicly over patents and ownership. That alone made headlines explode. An eyewitness claimed they saw Ethan near the warehouse that night. His phone pinged near the city. A rental car in his name showed up on traffic cameras. When police searched his office, they found stacks of cash in a safe. The story wrote itself. Young billionaire attacks rival. Ethan denied it. He said he was not even in St. Louis at the time. But denial only made things worse. Sponsors vanished, investors ran. Friends stopped answering calls. The only person still standing with him was his lawyer. Until that morning, the recess stretched longer than expected. Ethan sat alone in a holding room staring at a gray wall. He did not pray often, but that day he prayed someone would listen. The door opened. "You've got 5 minutes," a deputy said. Amara stepped in, notebook pressed to her chest. "How did you get in here?" Ethan asked quietly. "Judge said I could talk." He almost laughed. "This is crazy. Why did your lawyer quit?" she asked. "Because I wouldn't lie," Ethan said. "He wanted me to say I was there but didn't do it. I wasn't there at all." She studied him. "Were you?" "No." She nodded slowly. "Then someone framed you." "I think so," Ethan said. "I just don't know who." Amara flipped open her notebook, pages filled with notes and dates. "You don't sound like someone who would hurt a man like that." "Tell that to the world," he said. "I will," she replied. For the first time in weeks, Ethan felt something he thought was gone forever: hope. Before the deputy took him away, Ethan leaned closer. "Why are you doing this?" She met his eyes. "Because nobody believed my brother either." Ethan froze. "When Malik died," she said, "they said he was just another gang kid, but he wasn't. He wanted to build apps. He wanted to work for you. Nobody told his story right, so I'm telling yours." As Ethan was led away, his chest felt tight. He did not know if Amara could really help him, but she saw him as more than a headline. Back in court, the energy had shifted. When Judge Rayner returned, the room buzzed. Amara sat up straight. "I know I can't be a lawyer," she said. "But please listen." "1 minute," the judge said. Amara stood at the center. "They say he was in St. Louis that night, but his flight didn't land until after midnight. The warehouse was across the city. That's hours away." Murmurs spread. "And why would he do it?" she continued. "He gains nothing, but Victor Hale gains everything if Ethan goes to prison." The prosecutor objected. The judge shut him down. "That's enough," the judge said. Court was adjourned for the day. Outside, cameras flashed. Amara found her grandmother in the crowd. Joyce hugged her tight. That night, Ethan sat in a jail cell staring at the ceiling. Then the guard said, "You have a visitor." Ethan walked into the room and froze. Trevor Maddox, his former best friend, his first business partner. "You look terrible," Trevor said with a smile. "You did this," Ethan said. Trevor shrugged. "I wanted payback. Hale wanted you gone. Easy deal." "You framed me." "Yes." "Why? Tell me." "So you know." Trevor left him there with the truth burning in his chest. Across town, Amara flipped through her notebook. One name stood out: Trevor Maddox. She circled it hard. "Grandma," she said, "we have to go back tomorrow." The next morning, the courthouse looked like a war zone. Protesters shouted. Reporters crowded the steps. Inside, Ethan shuffled in, exhausted. Then he saw Amara in the front row. She nodded at him. The prosecutor began to speak. "Objection," Amara said loudly. The judge sighed. 30 seconds. She rushed forward. Trevor Maddox was the co-founder of Linkbridge. He met with Victor Hale's lawyers last week, and he bought a plane ticket to St. Louis the same night. The courtroom exploded. The judge ordered an immediate review. 2 hours later, he returned. "This court has serious concerns about the state's case," he said. "Mr. Brixley is released on bond, and this court orders an investigation into Trevor Maddox." Cheers broke out. Ethan's cuffs were removed. He walked straight to Amara and knelt. "You saved me." "No," she said. "You saved Malik. I just finished it." A week later, Trevor Maddox was arrested. The truth came out. Headlines flipped overnight. Ethan did not care about stock prices or fame anymore. What mattered was sitting at a small kitchen table, eating fried chicken with Amara and her grandmother. "You'd make a great lawyer someday," Ethan said. Amara grinned. This was not just a story about a billionaire and a child. It was about courage, about truth, about speaking up when no one else will. Because sometimes the smallest voice is the one that changes everything.